The Silent Suffering, a story of abuse and tragedy. Once upon a time, in a small, quiet neighborhood, there lived a woman named Grace. Grace had a radiant smile and an infectious laugh that could light up any room. But over time, those who knew her noticed her light slowly dimming. Her once sparkling eyes now looked tired, and her laugh faded into silence. She was hiding something deep and painful, a truth that she could no longer bear to speak. Grace had been married to her husband David for years. In the beginning, it seemed like the perfect love story. They were young, in love, and full of dreams. But behind closed doors, David changed. His love turned to control, and his words turned to violence. The man who once promised to protect her became the very source of her fear. Each time Grace would try to leave, he'd beg for forgiveness, promising it would never happen again. But it did. Over and over again, her friends and family, sensing something wasn't right, would ask, "How come you don't smile like you used to?" But Grace, out of shame and fear, always had an excuse. "I'm just tired," she'd say, or "Everything's fine." But everything wasn't fine. The bruises on her skin and the scars on her heart told a different story. She prayed for strength, for an escape, but felt trapped in a cycle of silence. She thought, who would believe me? Who would care? She convinced herself that no one could help her. Then one fateful night, the unthinkable happened. Grace couldn't hide anymore. The shouting, the violence, it became too much. Her neighbors heard the screams, but no one intervened. They all thought it was just another argument. They had seen the signs but had ignored them, thinking it wasn't their place to get involved. The next morning, Grace's body was found. The life that once filled her was gone, stolen by the very person who had vowed to love her. As the community gathered for her funeral, the guilt hung heavy in the air. They asked themselves, how come no one saw? How come no one acted? How long had she been suffering in silence? It was a tragedy that could have been prevented if someone had spoken up, if someone had cared enough to intervene. This story is not just about Grace. It's about countless people living in silence, afraid to speak out. It's about the bystanders who, out of fear or indifference, choose not to get involved. The painful truth is that silence can be deadly. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, don't stay silent. Reach out. There is help. We must be the voices for those who feel voiceless, and we must act before it's too late.
Thanks for watching, and please share your comments. I would love to hear. Thank you. God bless.